Seun Oni here is on the line with us. Hello and a very good morning to you, Mr. Seun. Thank you for joining us on Morning Express today.
Good morning, Mr. Chijoke. Good to see you. Been a while.
It's been a minute, sir. I just gave you an introduction before you joined in, editor-in-chief at the Daily Courier. But this morning, we have a situation coming in from the People's Democratic Party that has been riddled with a lot of challenges in the past couple of months or even years, I might add. We hear that PDP governors have rejected merger talks by former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and, of course, other opposition leaders ahead of the 2027 general elections. What do you make of this? Is it safe to say that Atiku is gradually losing his grip on the PDP?
Again, good morning to all our viewers. The outcome of the emergency meeting of the PDP Governors Forum in Ibadan that clashed with the outcome yesterday is actually nothing new. Most of the positions that they arrived at were actually the position of the party's neck. The party's NWC, I beg your pardon. It's been a while they had their neck meeting. Yeah. I think it's been slated now for later in May.
Yes.
It's actually nothing new. And someone like me had always been of the opinion that Atiku is actually on a lone walk. I don't see PDP agreeing to be a part of any merger talks. If there is anything, the PDP would want anyone who so much loves his platform to come on board, and that was the position of the governors after the meeting yesterday. So like I did mention earlier, there was really nothing in their outcome yesterday. There was really new, as it were. Their position on their national secretary, their position on merger. They've always insisted that they are actually the party to court. They are the darling of anyone who thinks the current platform he or she has is not veritable enough.
What?
And of course, if a government has been in power for 16 years, if it still has 10 governors as we speak today, definitely you don't expect them to be dancing around merger talks with people who really don't have the platform of their own political party. They are loners. El-Rufai is a loner. He's not in any political party. People like Patty Tommy, who is perennially the one midwifing what we call the third force. Just mention them. Somebody like Atiku, he simply has he has his own, you can't take it away from him. He has a motley crowd spread thinly across the country. But you must know that the entire machinery of the PDP is not backing him. And that has been my position for a very long time. The outcome of the meeting in Ibadan yesterday simply goes to show that perhaps the type of support he thinks he has, he really does not have.
Well, an interesting take. We also hear that, of course, the PDP governors, apart from dragging the federal government to court over the emergency rule in Rivers State, they are also backing or opposing the Rivers State emergency ruling, where we also saw some sort of set of individuals, women particularly on the streets, in a rather comical manner, women wearing white who were parading the streets for the emergency ruling, while the ones wearing black were against the emergency ruling. What's the situation like, and why such a very big fuss about River State in the first place?
Thank you for the question. For some of us who cover politics, we have been on this tour for a while, and we actually know how things like this work. Some of those women you saw yesterday in Port Harcourt, on both sides, the white, the black, if you corner them with your camera and you ask them, what are you people doing here? Don't be surprised, they really don't know the reason why they're on the street. a large chunk of them. What happens, what you get is that people are mobilized, they are given placards, and the people who mobilize them, they are the ones in front chanting, tell them the song to sing, and most of them is really for the money. So I really don't want us to waste so much energy. It simply tells you that it's people from both sides that have been mobilizing to make people see reasons why on the black side the emergency rule should not be extended. Like I used to tell people jokingly, the only thing anyone can do now, except the court, so to speak to PDP again, apart from their position yesterday, they're actually in court. And from the information I got, I think there will be a mention of the case today, Tuesday. The case the PDP governors instituted against the federal government, the president, the attorney general on the other side.
Yeah.
And let's just wait what the position and the pronouncement of the court will be. But for the drama we are seeing in Rivers State, it's just political actors doling out money to people who actually need the money now. The people need the money now than ever before, to mobilize them to come and also cheer and support whichever position they have taken. That's how things work in the political arena. If you want your interest to consistently be in the news, I've read a number of dailies this morning, and you can be very sure, apart from the Money Express on ADBN, many other breakfast shows across the country, on TV, on radios, we definitely speak to those type of things. And that's the beauty. If you have a position, you always want your position to be in the news. And that's what we just saw yesterday.
Well, interesting take, Mr. Seun. I know that this is a case that is in court and there isn't really much to say about it, but is there speculation you can make with regards to the outcome of this court proceedings eventually when a ruling is set? Are we seeing a ruling perhaps in the favor of Governor suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara and the PDP governors, who I hear have drawn a very large, arsenal of 11 senior advocates of Nigeria to fight the case?
Well, is a sub judice matter, like you rightly pointed out. But I think legal opinion actually are in favor of the federal government.
Why so? Why so?
Eventually, the decision to pronounce is actually that of the president, but the decision to allow that pronouncement to sail is not that of the president. The Constitution vested it in the hands of the National Assembly, which the Red Chamber, the Senate, represents. The Senate, from what we saw and the news we followed, had actually performed their constitutional responsibility of ratifying that decision of the federal government, the president's pronouncement, hours after that pronouncement. And so I just see the PDP governors' legal intervention as more of a solidarity move, not to be seen as leaving one of them in the lurch. Eventually, I really don't think any serious thing will come out of this. I was about saying earlier that the best they can do in this case, and many other people who feel strongly that a state of emergency ab initio shouldn't have been declared, is to begin to find a way to midwife a serious discussion between the two feuding parties. In this instance, the suspended governor Siminalayi Fubara and, of course, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory. If anyone really wants lasting peace to return to Rivers State, that is the right overture to take. I am still a bit surprised that very serious troubleshooting overtures have not started taking place. They shouldn't wait till the twilight of the 6 months when this type of rhetorics, incendiary remarks that we see back and forth on both sides continue. I feel strongly that leaders of thought in Rivers State, PDP for instance, because as it is today, Wike had actually not said that he has jumped ship to any other political party. He claims to be a member of the PDP. I think the board of trustees, the governors, being the strongest bloc in the party, ought to call a meeting where these two stakeholders, they have that duty, they have that responsibility, taking the matter to court and making it look like it's not siding, we are not siding Fubara, we are fighting for the interests of justice, in my opinion, is a lost cause. The right thing to do is to ensure that at the end of these 6 months, all the facts, all the variables clearly show that there is no need for an extension. For me, that's what they need to do.
Well, before we move on to other matters, Mr. Seun, let's look at it from the angle of recent statements made by Daily Momodu with regards to the rejection of a merger talk by PDP governors. Now, he said that those rejecting the coalition or merger talks are being sponsored by the APC. That is one claim on one hand. Now, of course, the children of the ex-vice president and his former, loyal stalwart, talking about Daniel Bwala, were also exchanging words with regards to their father's ambition ahead of 2027. What do you make of this side talks, especially from certain individuals who are supposed to be fronting the ambitions of the former vice president ahead of 2027 to make him look good in the eyes of Nigerians should he eventually clinch the ticket in the PDP?
Again, let me start from my very highly respected colleague, Daily Momodu. Chief Daily Momodu is actually a celebrity journalist. Events and history has shown that when it comes to politicking, he's really not on that tough. His positions, the way he goes about political issues shows that most times his partisan lens often colors, often overshadow logic. Sometimes that is needed to accurately situate political issues. There is, I think it's very obvious, everyone who had followed Daily Momodu knows that he has this love for the ex-vice president Atiku Abubakar. So it's just natural, it's normal to see everything and anything that will keep that relationship he has with him. That's on one side. Because if you are a part, like he claims he is a member of the People's Democratic Party, and the entire governors, two of them were absent, the governor of Akwa Ibom and the governor of Delta. They were absent at that meeting, and they were represented by no other fellow than their deputies, their lieutenants. That tells you that the position of the governors was not just a position of the few, including the governor of Adamawa State, Fintiri, who of course is a protege of Atiku Abubakar. To come out and say any governor who is against merger talk is working tacitly for APC is at best comical, with all due respect to Chief Daily Momodu. That's totally out of it. That has been the position of the PDP. And true to the Waziri of Adamawa, he always thinks that he can find his way. But over the years, it has shown. Remember, this was the same person who was part of the founding of the APC.
Certainly.
And somehow, he just moved everybody and moved people who were loyal to him, a sitting Senate president at the time, a number of other people, and moved them out of the party back to the PDP again. And in his mind, he thinks he will just go there, take charge of all the party structures, and re-roll his place to Aso Rock. But you can see several times he had gone that way and it had not worked. So you just think age and experience should have taught him a lesson. That when you are making a move as this, and our recent history in Nigeria has shown, no single individual who had attempted merger had succeeded. You must have the support of the entire party hierarchy. That was what we saw with the merger that midwifed and gave birth to the APC. The party hierarchy, the APC, the CPC, who were the strongest bloc, not APC now, the ACN bloc and the CPC bloc. They were the strongest of the merging parties. It was that clear. Many people had tried it before then with individuals coming, and it did not work. I don't see how this will work, especially when we have barely 2 years to the next general election. And that's why when somebody is coming to say that APC are the ones that will not allow this to sail through, I just think that's a joke taken too far. And on the other side, where you have children and younger folks tackling themselves, you also left out of the mix the current Bauchi State Governor's son.
Yes, of course, Bala Mohammed's son was also in that quagmire.
Yeah, he took through the first shot. I think it's beautiful. You might say they are sons of highly known people, but when you begin to look at their age, I think they are old enough to also make commentaries. The son of Bala Mohammed, I learned is about 30 years old. Atiku Abubakar's son is not a child, he's not a teenager. Constitutionally, they are qualified to play politics at the highest level, and it's just beautiful. That's the beauty of democracy. You can have your say, tit for tat. We have the banters here and there. By the way, before now, people usually assume it is a Nigerian issue. Yeah. But the happenings in the US have shown you that politics is global. His tendencies
and has the same blueprint globally.
Same blueprint everywhere globally. So it's a beautiful thing to watch. We just hope they tune down and it does not inflame tensions where things start getting violent. But that's the beauty of democracy.
All right, Mr. Seun, we have about 10 minutes to wrap up on this conversation. However, let's move on to a rather disturbing development in Plateau State. We hear that a fresh attack has claimed the lives of about 51 or 54 people. And of course, this is coming off the back of some attacks a couple of weeks ago where Governor Caleb Mutfwang decried these attacks and claimed that there were genocidal attacks targeted at wiping out his people. But I just want us to take a look at a couple of papers before I come back to you and we'll have your reactions on this. Let's see if we can pick up a copy of the Daily Independent newspaper to get better insight into what these fresh attacks in Plateau State look like. 54 killed, many injured in fresh attack on Plateau community. Tinubu asks governor to resolve underlying communal issues. Atiku condemns renewed fresh attacks, faults Tinubu's security policy. Amnesty says Tinubu's government security measures are not working. Now, this is on the front page of the Daily Independent. Let's also take a look at the Nigerian Tribune, and with a similar headliner, much like the Daily Independent, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, greeting your screen in a moment, you'd find the headline, 51 feared killed in fresh Plateau attack. Killings in Benue, Plateau State's genocidal war, says NBF. It's an inexcusable security failure, Amnesty International blasts. Resolve underlying communal issues in your area, Tinubu tells Plateau State governor. Of course, there have been some videos circulating on social media of a mass burial of this over 50 people that have been killed in the recent fresh attacks in Plateau State. Well, Mr. Seun, what do you say to this? And it's quite sad, isn't it? Hello, Mr. Seun?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, please?
Well, I can hear you loud and clear. I was asking, what do you make of this development, and of course the fact that just a few weeks after we saw some very gory images coming in from Plateau State, we are yet again hit with another reality, over 50 people killed. And I was saying that I saw a video of a mass burial being held by community members of Bokos, where the very unfortunate incident took place.
It's a tragic incident coming out of the Plateau. That's barely a few days, like you rightly said. We had the incidents in Bokos. We are having this again. And I will just pick the same words used by the Amnesty International. Is a very blatant security failure on the state government, but primarily the federal government. And I was just a bit disappointed and baffled when I read the statement emanating from the presidency, which attempts to push the blame squarely on the state government. I think it's quite unfortunate. I'm aware, I schooled in Jos. I graduated from the University of Jos. And so I actually know a bit about some of the happenings, some of the tragic happenings in Plateau State. I know there is this complex web of religious, ethnic tone, coloration to the things happening there, which has been a bit historical. And the indigents seems to shy away from that reality. I know that up till now, there are actually parts of the Plateau State capital, that's Jos, where as a Christian, you can't just stroll past. There are other parts in Jos, the Plateau State capital, where as a Muslim, you can't have the luxury of walking to. That tells you the division, very deep cleavage in that state. And so not to talk about the deeper parts of Plateau, where most of these gory, horrendous things are taking place. Why I won't use the word genocidal, but the consistency and patterns of these killings leaves a whole lot to be desired. And this should be a call first to the army headquarters, the defense headquarters, led by General Musa Gwabin, that he really needs to take charge of this situation before the international community begins to read their own interpretation. Because when this thing continues, it will be a bit very difficult to now say it's not a religious war to eliminate some tribes on the Plateau. It will be very difficult. If in a space of 2 weeks, we have had over 70 lives lost, because the official record from the last one was about 21, and now we're having 50 plus on national dailies, and that's 70 something people in a space of 2 weeks. And all these people belong almost to the same ethnicity, they belong to the same religion. And the people attacking them, they are also from the opposite religion. Then something is terribly wrong. And the federal government should not fold his hands. Governor Caleb is not in charge of the army. The federal government are in charge of the army.
So why is the president asking Governor Caleb Mutfwang to ensure that he tackles the security situation in his state, knowing fully well that he cannot control the police and he cannot control the army as he so wishes, and the command has to come from the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, being the president himself.
That was my displeasure and reservation when I saw that statement signed by Bayo Nonuga. That's why I was very disappointed. The command and the tone of the message should be directed at the defense headquarters. In fact, the police over the year in Plateau had actually lost touch with quelling anything there. It has gone past them. In fact, we've had records, and I mean records, where police will actually withdraw when the firepower of the guys coming. So the only people who can quell this are the army. So when you are now putting the blame on the governor that he should take, I know, like I said earlier, there are historical issues that indigene or Plateau try to shy away from. Is the fact that sometimes when the peace process is gradually building, historical anger comes in and there are reprisals. And these reprisals leads to counterattack. And that's why you have this circle. But in the face of this, the people who can put their boots on the ground and ensure that people while sleeping in their huts, because these are very remote villages.
Yeah.
Some guys will not just come with AK-47 and spray entire families. I read how 8 people from a particular family were all wasted. Everyone.
I like this point you just raised, Mr. Seun Oni. I just want you to react to something on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper, and it's sort of, because I don't want to say it, and I also wouldn't want you to directly say it, but let's hear or let's see what the paper says here on the front page of the Vanguard. Plateau Benue killings, Governor Alia threatens, Tinubu gives Muftuang matching orders. Now this is where it gets interesting. Straplines add, family of 8 wiped out, armed herders kill 52 in fresh Sunday night attack. I'll take that strapline again. Family of 8 wiped out, armed herders kill 52 in fresh Sunday night attack. Victims given mass burial. Government expresses displeasure. Troops rescue 16 kidnapped victims. Christian leaders plan protest over killings. I can't guarantee visitors to Benue without my knowledge, says Governor Alia. And of course, many other strap lines. But I just want you to react to the first couple of them, which has to do with the fact that reports say that herders were the ones that orchestrated these attacks, particularly Fulani or Bororo high herders. What do you say about this?
I think, I alluded to this much earlier. It's nothing new. I schooled in Jos between 2006, 2010, and I'm quite abreast of development there. I actually started my practice as a journalist in my undergraduate years, and I cover a bit of security issues on the Plateau. So I know I have a grip of some of the happenings there. It's the same people, Fulani herdsmen. They are the ones, armed people
with AK-47 rifles.
With AK-47 rifles, and the irony is that you also have very innocent Fulani herders who had lived there for many years. They had lived there for many years. There is a particular local government. In fact, it's the local government that practically is that houses University of Jos. You have more of Muslims. You have more of Fulani Hausa extraction living in this local government. And they are innocent people. I have some of them as classmates, have some of them as friends. But when you begin to hear that some of the folks who had infiltrated them with AK-47, banding guns and walking into remote villages, and due to the terrain of Plateau, Plateau is a bit of a hilly, rocky place.
Yeah.
When they come like that, they come through the rocky hills, spray people with bullets, and they run back. And so these people perennially have been clamoring. Why not come and build bases here? Come and build army bases. Let us have army base here where we will not be calling for reinforcement from 3 or 4 kilometers away. If you actually follow in depth the story, you will see that they actually learnt about this. I guess people in the smaller villages told them about some movement, and quickly they placed a call across. But to drive from the main places where you have military station, sometimes you have to travel for hours before getting to the main place. So they would have committed the atrocities and mayhem, leave blood gushing in the villages before military intervention is gotten. So it's a federal issue. And I'm so disappointed that they want to try to push the blame on the tables of the governor. And the governor has his own duty. His duty is to ensure that locals accommodate as much as possible innocent people who are within their area. And I think he has tried in that area. And that's why we have begun to see relative peace. But there were information that ISWAP actually wants to have a base on the Plateau. And it is the security architecture at the federal level, the army, the DSS, and the other federal agencies saddled responsibility, who should arrest that situation. And from what we are seeing now, it simply shows that the intel is correct, that Boko Haram, ISWAP actually wanted to set up a base on the Plateau. And it's regrettable what we are seeing now, because it's actually preventable.
What would you say about the silence of the National Security Advisor on this matter?
Well, I think it would be too early to say he was silent, because a few days ago he was still on the Plateau himself. He was there, had a town hall meeting with some of the stakeholders on the Plateau, and I could recollect very vividly he gave a marching order to the folks there that they should ensure there is no repeat. So I think instead of saying that he's been a bit silent, I think he should be ashamed. That's why he has not spoken, because if he was there a few days ago and this repeats itself, that simply means his orders are not taken seriously. That's my opinion, though.
Well, interesting. Going forward, Mr. Seun, what do you think that the government, both state and federal, can do beyond just setting up military bases, but in order to nip this issue to the board and address it from the grassroots? What can be done to curtail? We know how very volatile Plateau State has been ever since the first set of crises that happened in the early 2000s. Yet again, we are faced with a repetition of the dark, gloomy days of the old Plateau.
Sadly, the immediate past president, Muhammadu Buhari, gave a suggestion that Plateau and Benue, the people who are practically in the middle of this Fulani herders crisis, they allowed, and that's for me where the governors of both states, that's Caleb Mufwang and the Reverend Father Alia, must be circumspect and just ensure that the right thing is done. The long-term solution, to be honest with you, is to ensure that there is no open grazing in these two states. And if you are going to do that, there must be alternative. The alternative is that the two states also must embrace the idea of giving ranches, providing ranches where these people can stay. Their security will be guaranteed, the basic needs will be provided, so that this issue of back and forth. So quickly, if you have security station in those ranched areas, if there are movement of infiltrators, it will be easy to manage it. But where cows are moving unchecked across the entire length and breadth of the state as hilly and widespread like Benue and Plateau, you will definitely have this issue. It's a long-term issue, and we should look for a long-term solution. The long-term solution is ranching, no open grazing, and the two states must accommodate this idea and stop looking at it from the prism of religion and ethnicity.
All right, Mr. Seun Oni, we must thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having this conversation, and hoping to have you again next time. It's been a while you visited the studio. Hoping that next time you will be here with us live.
Thank you so much, Chijoke. But just quickly let me add that MBA should try to return the 300 million they collected from Rivers.
Well, I wish we had more time to talk about that, because it's, of course, here in the lineup as well. But let's see if they will return it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure they will want to return it, citing the fact that it was a gift to them and not necessarily something that they are obligated to return to the River State government.
It's a shame. They should return the money. NBA shouldn't be collecting money from political office holders and also have the guts to cast aspersion on them. They are not better than the politicians they have been casting aspersion on. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you, and do have a very wonderful day.